Today marks the 6-month mark of Black Ops 4. To me, that's honestly wild that time has gone this fast already, and we're already pushing into the latter half of the main content cycle of Black Ops 4. While the future of the Call of Duty franchise is still to be determined, we don't know what's going to be coming out this fall and what Infinity Ward has up their sleeve at the very moment. Black Ops 4 certainly has a massive discussion around it in its midlife stages. Today, I want to examine the steps that Black Ops 4 has taken, possibly some of its successes, some of its missteps, and just have a conversation about the first half of the year of Black Ops 4. Black Ops 4 definitely had some big shoes to fill. It still does, if I'm honest. There's still definitely steps to be made to improve the game, but when March of last year introduced us to the very first teaser of the next installment of the Call of Duty franchise as Black Ops 4, I think everyone had high hopes for the game. It was a Black Ops title after all, so it was definitely an uphill climb. The content at hand for launch was a bare experience. As obvious as a statement as it may be, I always prefer the later year gameplay as compared to the fresh new content. There's just always more options to mess around with. I do think though that there has been positive and negative strides in Black Ops 4, which we'll talk about all throughout this video, but the positives of the launch itself were more maps than previously seen in World War II's launch, weapons were enjoyable, and if you picked up a new one, you could adapt to it rather easily, and one awesome thing also in particular was the predictive recoil, that system in place that not many will possibly remember at this point, but there were set recoil patterns for each weapon that you could learn and master. That kind of stuff was cool. Up until this point, we've seen a bunch of different influxes of playable content such as events, event weekends in the way of double XP, double tier progression, double merits, double Nebulium plasma, things like that, a bunch of limited time modes, countless numbers of those to be honest with you, and a lot of things thrown in the mix. So I guess just to sort of examine everything at a top-down perspective, let's break it down into the categories of the game modes overall. Let's start out with what is probably most of the audience here's bread and butter, multiplayer. Personally, I'm kind of torn on multiplayer this year. I honestly really enjoy it whenever I'm in the mood and I'm really grinding it out. I have about 3 to 4 days on MP this year so far, but honestly, that's about half the time that I have in Blackout. The big thing that's a turnoff for MP for me, and I'm sure a lot of you guys can probably agree with this, is the specialists. Personally, I don't care all that much about specialists or no specialists in COD. Of course, it's probably a little bit weird for some people having no specialists from World War II and then coming back to it in Black Ops 4, but I've had so much with specialists before in Black Ops 3 and had a ton of fun in games prior without them, so to me, I'm kind of impartial about specialists as an idea, but in Black Ops 4, I think they're just fundamentally designed wrong. I genuinely see in Black Ops 4 Specialist as a participation medal. In Black Ops 3, you had either the option of a lethal or a tactical in a sense. You could use either Vision Pulse or the Sparrow. You could use the Scythe or Psychosis. You could use the Annihilator or Combat Focus, but never both. This kind of stuff was the right balance for me because you needed to earn it over time and by performance, but getting them once or twice a game was really no biggie. You didn't really come into contact with too many people that just got their specialists immediately, and if they were having a boost of it, it was because they had their perk active for it to give them that boost. Now you'll see multiple specialists with Seeker shock drones and the Tempest, which is still insane, multiple times in a game, and having both the lethal and the tactical being spam worthy, it's just not as enjoyable to me this year. Then you add things in like Zero, who you could be having the game of your life, and Timmy No Thumbs over there going 2-45 could ruin that momentum because he earned Zero's ice pick just by sitting in the corner the entire game. If it weren't for the rudimentary design of the specialist, I think that honestly I'd enjoy it a lot more because I can still find myself playing from time to time once I'm in the zone for hours on end. But the conscious effort of making that time is what seems like the real chore to me, given that I know that I'll have to deal with those specialists. As for things like the weaponry, the map flow, the score streaks, while others may have different opinions on them, I truly enjoy that kind of stuff. Like, if you were to really take out a lot of the issues with specialists, I think that Black Ops 4 is quite enjoyable. That's just me. And again, perhaps in that sense that I don't play as much as maybe the next guy in MP, that constant coming back to it as a sort of refresh may keep me from getting burnt out. But for that kind of stuff, I don't have any real qualms with it. It seems like the specialist is the big downfall for me in this one. As for Blackout, well, that's kind of my bread and butter with Black Ops 4. Again, I'll play MP whenever I need some gameplay or something like that, but I actually find myself really enjoying Blackout. I know that, especially here on the channel, some of you guys may have differing opinions, and that's totally cool. I absolutely have no issue if you guys love, hate, or are impartial with Blackout or any other part of this game. That's totally cool, that's totally fine, and I respect that opinion entirely. To me, I think that it's possibly my favorite because it counters some of the reasons we just talked about. Firstly, before we get to specialist kind of stuff, I think that this is honestly probably one of the easiest Battle Royale game modes to pick up. I've been a Battle Royale fan since I don't even know one, man. I remember playing when it first was an introductory mod to Minecraft, Hunger Games, and stuff like that, and the timeline of things eludes me right now, but I know there was Armor around that time that I played as well. There was a mod for that, which was a BR. So not really to sound like a hipster or a BR elitist, but more so just saying that I've been around the block with BR games. I think that this is probably the easiest to pick up. We mentioned it before a couple of days ago in a video that Fortnite, you need to have a master's in engineering and architecture to end up being competitive in that game. Apex right now is the other big one out there. You need to know how to utilize your environment, your gun skill and all that, but also mix it in with a class-based hero system. PUBG is, from recent recollections, still kind of buggy, and H1 kind of just killed itself, unfortunately. But when I think about Blackout personally, I think that honestly, it's just you and your gun skills and environmental awareness. The only thing that will really give you any sort of advantage is level 3 armor, maybe some height differentials that you can jump back to and heal yourself while they have to challenge you, and so on and so forth. It's just pretty much a bare tactical BR. And I like that. I like being able to outthink my opponents. I like being able to use my aim and gun skill to end up securing kills and so on and so forth. Plus, whenever you take a look at it, again, there's nothing like specialist that people just get handed. Of course, there's RNG in play because it is Battle Royale at its core, so somebody may find a level 3 in an SMG right off the bat, and you could find a pistol and no armor. That sort of stuff is always going to happen, but there's nothing like a specialist irritant that will absolutely guarantee an enemy a kill where you should have gotten that kill on them to begin with. And especially with them sort of evolving the map and the mode as we go along, I think that's just really cool. I just enjoy it, and again, to me, that's where I've put a lot of my time. I know it might not be everybody's cup of tea, but that's where mine's been. As for zombies, depending on who you ask, the opinions will vary. As an outsider this year, without much invested into the mode, I'll tell you that it's kind of just unfortunate to see the community underrepresented, that there's less updates, there's less features and functionality, and even the core loot reward system is underrepresented as well. You still to this day can't progress towards tiers and zombies. I understand the reasoning that there's the fear of finding an AFK glitch and then people will just farm that, get all their tiers by having their console run for 100 hours consecutively, but there could easily be another system in place that earned tier progression by active involvement. But while that seems all completely negative, I also have to say it was fantastic. The game shipped with, what, 5 maps or something like that with the Black Ops Pass? The 2 maps that I've seen so far and played a little bit around with in the DLC look absolutely fantastic. The end of the Chaos story in Black Ops 4 Season 1 so far seemed absolutely fantastic, having checked out that Easter egg in that cutscene. So that kind of stuff was really cool, and I applaud the team at Treyarch for the core functionality of everything being great, but I still think they could be held accounted for the post-launch communication, updates, and so on and so forth. Now, the core functionality and such out of the way, the core contents of that, the next real big thing to talk about that shows the progression of this game is the DLC content to this date. And this is where I want to call recent times into question. Black Ops 4 is the first way that we've seen DLC done as it is right now. It introduced it in a new way, and the content being spread out over the years. So how does it stack up against, say, World War II of last year? Well, when we take a look at it, just to be fair, let's take a look at World War II from the 6-month mark as well. At that point within World War II, there were 4 events. We ended up seeing the Blitzkrieg event, the Shamrock and Awe event, the Resistance event, and the Winter Siege event, each of which introduced a few different modes, a few new cool things, and of course, new weapons being the biggest part out of that. At the 6-month mark, we had 18 DLC weapons: the Itcher Burst, the Sterling, the Type 38, the Baseball Bat, the M2 Carbine, the Type 5, the Type 38, the MG81, the M30, the Volksschirmgewehr, the Orso, the Combat Knife, the 9mm Sap, the Ice Pick, the GPMG, the Sten, the Gewehr 43, and finally the Trench Knife. We had 2 DLC packs, 6 MP maps of Dunkirk, Egypt, V2, Occupation, Valkyrie, and Anthropoid, 2 war maps of Operation Husky and Operation Intercept, and 2 Zombies maps of the Shadowed Throne and the Darkest Shore. We had 3 free maps of Shipment 1944, Winter Carrington, as well as the Headquarters, which was playable in a few different modes. We had 5 Twitch Prime packs. We had 1 community challenge, 1 new division, that being the Resistance Division, 13 major patches, and 1 huge fundamental change, that being the Division Overhaul, which changed the core functionality of the Division system at its most basic levels. Then there was also at that point, which wasn't DLC content, but more so core content that we don't have comparably to Black Ops 4, daily orders and contracts, multiple organic ways to earn weaponry and significant content, as well as again those community challenges. It's quite a lot to consider, but depending on who you ask, ask, it still really wasn't a lot at that point. But how it stacks up against Black Ops 4 goes as follows. At the 6-month mark for Black Ops 4 right now, we've had 3 events with 3 mini event streams included in that. Those 3 events being Operation Grand Heist, Absolute Zero, and First Strike. The mini events of the Barbarians, Holiday event, and the Halloween event, and of those we've seen 7 weapons introduced, 9 if you include the triple play melee weapons, that include the Switchblade X9, the Rampage, the Cha-Ching melee weapon, the SWAT, the Daemon, the Secret Santa, and then the Homewrecker, and as well the Sleigh Bell. We also have at the 6-month mark 3 signature weapons earned organically from that first operation of the ICR Blinding Glory, the GKS Damascus, and the Titan Sandstorm. We've had 1 Twitch Prime Pack, we've had 2 DLC drops for both MP and Zombies as well. MP we saw Casino and Lockup, as well as Madagascar and Elevation. Zombies we ended up seeing Dead of the Night and Ancient Evil. We saw 2 new specialists in Black Ops 4 since its launch, that being Zero as well as Outrider. We saw 5 free maps, 4 of them in MP, Alcatraz being that 5th, but on top of that we've seen Contraband Hurricane, Seaside Sunset, Firing Range Night, and Nuketown, plus 16 major patches. Now, truth be told, that's not the entire story for both games. We end up seeing that there were a bunch of different limited time modes thrown in the mix for World War II as well as in Black Ops 4, but the part that stands out to me and what I think is ultimately a very large misstep for Black Ops 4 and possibly even the downfall is that when we take a look at the current offering of DLC and the progression of DLC, we mostly see them coming around through events. A lot of that content, though, now especially, come in reserves. When we take a look at this, Grand Heist introduced us to a lot of cool things. We had, again, those 2 DLC maps, we had the new weapons, we had Blackout changes in the way of Ghost Town being added, Hot Pursuit being added, the Prestige system being added, Zombies at the launch of the event had a new perk, a new gauntlet, but we also ended up seeing things since the launch of the event being added in, such as bundles of the triple play, which offered you the Homewrecker, tiers, and cases, the Replacer bundle, which was the Replacer character, the Swordfish Mark II and tiers, then things like the Shamrock and Awe or Luck of the Irish bundle. Plus, we've also seen a ton of items thrown in reserves. And to break that down a little bit further, reserves include, in Operation Grand Heist alone, 1 jump pack, 2 Mastercraft camos of the Outlaw and the KN, 6 signature weapons of the Daemon, SWAT, Cap 45, Koshka, Cordite, and Rampart Mark II weapons, 3 Blackout characters of Vacation Hudson, John and Jane Doe, 4 gestures, 8 special character skins, 11 common character skins, and 54 weapon skins or camos that are all for those different weapons that are the Street Race and the Splatter camo. That is a ton of things when you consider that. And that doesn't even include the reserves from Operation Absolute Zero and beforehand, which offered 2 Mastercrafts, the Mozu and the SG-12, 5 emotes, and a ridiculous amount of stickers, tags, decals, war paint, and such. So that, to me, I think is the biggest downfall here of it, is that there's not a lot that rewards players for simply playing the game. It almost forces your hand to buy into a DLC model if you want anything cool. And yes, I know the easy counter is you don't have to use it, it's cosmetic. That's the problem. A lot of people want to be able to show off something cool. They want to be able to show off what they accomplished in game whenever they play those matches. And so when a lot of the cool stuff, for the majority of it, is locked behind reserves and I guess a way that allows you to unlock them organically after a crap ton of playtime and potentially even only then getting duplicates or by simply paying for a chance to expedite that process, it really does kind of force your hand. And so in that sense, that leads me into the next and the biggest topic of discussion, is that I think that Black Ops 4's ultimate downfall and what really is just crushing the game is the monetization, the state of microtransactions. To me, the bundles are out of hand. To me, there's way too much stuff that's absolutely really awesome in reserves. I made a joke about it the other day that I just crossed the 100 reserve case mark by grinding out the game and saving up everything so that come next operation I can open up my cases and hopefully get something cool. But I made the joke about, I know my luck, I'm gonna get 100 stickers. The sad part is that's not necessarily out of the realms of possibilities. We consistently see this breakaway where the contraband stream is a really cool idea, but it doesn't offer us anything that rewards players for their time. We have 45 stickers in the contraband stream. There's only like 7 things out of the entire 100 tiers that you can look at in a first-person perspective in-game. To me, that's just absolutely crazy. And then you have things that are wicked cool in reserves, which push players to gamble their money away to try and get that chance of it, or you end up playing an ungodly amount and end up like me with the absolute worst luck possible where you get consistently duplicate stickers. Then you throw in the fact that you had a really cool thing in the sense of maybe a melee weapon DLC skin, but you priced it at $28, almost half the price of the base game. I get from a business perspective, you gotta meet the bottom line. But I've talked about it before. If a delivery driver keeps consistently bringing you, let's just say theoretically, literally a box of crap and putting it on your doorstep, if you open your door every day and have to sign for that box of literal crap and you know it's coming, at a certain point you just don't open your door. And that's the problem here with these microtransactions and the way they're bundling these things together. They're putting everything behind a ridiculous price tag, and just when we think the price won't get jacked up, it goes up even more. And 6 months in, I think that that's a huge fundamental problem, that we see this big focus on stuff that is behind a hefty price tag, but there's not as many strides being made to allow the player to consistently enjoy the game. It's almost like these things are so intrusive that they start to bring a negative connotation to even the gameplay experience, which may not have anything to do with them. For an example, that triple play, which was literally almost half the price of the base game, that was introduced, and I play Blackout a ton. That's primarily a lot of the reason why I jump in, but I was so irritated by the fact they tried to put something in there that really had absolutely no worth for half the game. I didn't even want to get on to a mode that wasn't affected at all by it. So 6 months in, I think that honestly the fundamentals of the game are still fun. There's of course still the inherent flaws that will persist, but that's every game. But the problem that I see now 6 months in is so much of a heavy push for these microtransactions. The game is fun, but when this stuff is starting to intrude on the fun of the gameplay experience, that's the issue that I have, and it seems like we're getting more microtransactions pushed now than ever. We saw, again, a ton of things added into reserves with this last operation. We've seen the most bundles introduced in a 3 to 4 week time frame compared to any time within Black Ops 4, and mostly even in any of the other Call of Duty titles, but I still think this halfway point can serve as not necessarily just a negative look at it, but perhaps a positive look. Maybe we end up seeing some of this stuff dialed back. Maybe we see this next operation introduce some more camos, some more worthwhile contents within the contraband stream. Get rid of stickers altogether and replace the time you put on that, and make some cool camos that you can put into the contraband stream and also still have some stuff in reserves. Ultimately, I'd love to see them introduce some things that bring me back for the reason of trying to play. One of the big things that I would absolutely love to see is some grind-worthy content, such as those daily and weekly contracts from World War II come back. We saw contracts in Black Ops 3, why can't we have those here? We saw those community challenges, why can't we have those here? I'd love to see something even like an Operation Long Challenge series, where Fortnite does it the best, I think, where there's 10 total weeks, and if you complete, say, 7 of those 10 weeks of the set, you end up getting an exclusive camo, uniform, triple play, some bundle of some sorts for completing all those challenges. That would be absolutely wicked and make me want to come back every single day, every single week of an operation. I'd want to get that stuff done and I'd want to play. So I definitely think there's still a lot of room for positive improvement, not necessarily just accepting that we're now getting this influx of microtransactions, this is the way it is. I think there's still a positive spin on it, and if you can tone out, again, the MTX model and potentially some of the really weird updates we get sometimes, like the recent removal of duos, if you can tone that stuff out, it's absolutely still a fun game to play, I think, given whatever mode you want to jump into. But I think that's enough of my rambling. I kind of was all over the place here at this one, but I wanted to give you a perspective, a little deep dive into 6 months of Black Ops 4, where we're at, and maybe where we go from here. So let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Are you guys happy, displeased, resentful, optimistic of these 6 months of Black Ops 4 and potentially the future? Whatever it is, feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, but hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you drop a like down below, and of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Black Ops 4, MP, Blackout, Zombies. We got you covered, the best of updates, news, information, tips, tricks, all that good stuff. So if any of that interests you, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing. You guys also have to follow me over on Twitter and Instagram. There's the best place to get connected outside of YouTube. Probably live on both those. So if you guys want to straight up conversation, asking a question, whatever it may be, that link is down there in the description below. Well, let's end out of the way. Thank you guys all so much for watching. My name is Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.